Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. I just got done editing the Minecraft review, so hopefully you guys are enjoying that review. But we're back from another topic video. I'm going to try to post this before the news roundup because that's going to be a long video. And I think this is also worth dedicating a singular video to because it's pretty important in regards to how future how future formal releases may take shape, or at least for this time period it may seem for how movies may get released, so, or where they may get released. And this is going to get into a little bit of a political discussion, so, if you're out of the Pacific opinion, hopefully, hopefully we're all respectful, because I know it's very easy to get super, triggered by, certain beliefs and all that stuff. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from on this. So I want to talk about some of the recent discussions that has been going on in regards to tariffs, some of the programs that are now being put in place, some of the ideologies, and ultimately what that may mean. And this is all in relation to the film industry, because the tariffs as they are right now, which are being placed onto foreign nations, and as a result, foreign nations are also enforcing their tariffs and increasing their percentages of what they expect for American goods when they enter their nations. It's creating a discussion of what is going to happen with what is going to happen to products here in America, and what are the consequences with these tariffs, what are the potential benefits to with these tariffs. And I will say first and foremost that I am not completely informed on the subject, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I have complete knowledge on how these tariff programs operate and how they work. But based on small research that I had done, or at least from what I was hearing, during the election, just hearing certain conversations, the hope was that these tariff programs would help alleviate the cost on American consumers, us as taxpayers. And we don't know if those effects will take place, but that is the potential benefits there with us as taxpayers, is that we will see more money potentially come into our pockets. And the consequences to that, as we are seeing, is that there is an increase potentially in products, and with very rapidly changing the landscape for business as it is within American soil and outside of that. Now, how this affects Hollywood is rather interesting, because there's an article that's out now on the Variety website, and they discussed this, and they made it seem, though, that it wouldn't be that much of an effect. So mainly pointing out consumer spending and pointing to that potentially being an issue. And that definitely is an issue, specifically in potential relations to how certain departments like theatrical chains and stuff like that, what they may or may not have in terms of relation to a foreign nation. If they're not just squarely an American company, or if they're, if they are operated outside of the U.S., we don't know. It's obviously a case-by-case basis, but I think that it actually goes further into that, into it. I saw a news report about this in regards to some of the effects, and I think that the larger discussions that should be had about it is with how distribution is going to be now. And this obviously plays into film as well. It plays into everything. Now, there's 2 points that I want to bring up in regards to what these discussions are right now and what they will be in the future. First thing is, and I'm going to be real blunt about it, and it's true in some cases right recently, some people will use this as an excuse for why certain things are priced the way they are. For example, you guys, if you are in the entertainment, news, and you just, are into that sort of stuff, you'll be aware of course, the Nintendo Switch 2, which, of course, being around my brother who loves video games, specifically that of Nintendo content, I am pretty versed on the new Nintendo Switch coming out, the controversy surrounding the pricing and all that stuff. That was happening before these tariffs were enforced. And now, with the tariffs being enforced, there's now a delay within the pre-orders. And they're saying that we will be delaying the pre-orders indefinitely because of concerns over the tariffs happening currently, which is not a completely invalid claim. I mean, clearly that will be an issue, at least until, because here's the thing also, before we get into those 2 points that I was going to bring up, these tariffs are going to be either maintained or increased or decreased based on discussions with the federal government. So this is not a case of tariffs are just going to stay as they are. Obviously, there's a great possibility for that. And just to be clear, I am not completely in support of how everything's being laid out. And I take issues with just how things are going to be affected within distribution, where we're going to get into discussions about that. But just to be fair here, these things are not set in stone, and that's just what they are. There's potential for these things to be completely eliminated or decreased, or and we have seen that within the Trump administration. We have seen these things happen where tariffs are imposed and then lifted or decreased, and it's all politically motivated. We know this. It's based off of what their politics are and dictating that, and basically acting that of an authoritarian, trying to dominate over these foreign nations, essentially. But just want to be clear that there is the potential for that. Now, there are people out there who will use this as an excuse, and in the case of Nintendo, it is entirely a valid claim to make, but it is also an scapegoat because people were aware of those prices well before these tariff things became completely public knowledge and became well enforced. So, and also this extends to, obviously on this channel being filmed, this will obviously extend to the film industry. For the longest time now, for almost an entire year, we've seen people talk about the pandemic and using that as a crutch to why film production is so costly and amongst other things. That's not the reason for it. We know it's because these corporations don't know how to function their productions, and they just allow these filmmakers, some of these auteurs as they label them, to run around with a certain amount of cash, or they just throw money at things, and they don't really necessarily think about the repercussions to pouring so much money, especially in this age where, as we've discussed before on this channel, where the theatrical windows or the theaters, they're seeing less attendance because of just the rise of streaming and just the awareness of streaming. Now there's just not as much people coming to the theater, and it's a very, very specific kind of film now that will bring in those numbers, larger numbers. But it has a lot to do with management of material, and just by how things have been going for the past couple of years, raw material has become expensive. So it's to say that it all of a sudden is now expensive because of tariffs, that's not completely true. It has been getting expensive well before tariffs became a thing. But the better statement to say would be that with tariffs in place, there's potential now for these materials that are already expensive to get even more expensive. So then it becomes now the second point, which is a very real thing, is about distribution. And distribution, obviously in the vein of film, is a huge, for any company and business, it's a huge part of their business. And in the case of film specifically, distribution is very important, especially for specific kinds of films. It's very, very important because of just what that market provides. And vice versa, for a foreign market, it's important for them to extend it out to the North American market because of what audiences are there, and potentially what they can get, how the film can appeal to that demographic rather than their own, and vice versa. I mean, for example, look at the Transformers films. Those films overperform in the international market. Those films would not be billion-dollar movies, at least the Michael Bay ones, if it wasn't for places like China or Japan. And film companies realize this and see that sort of profits that are made there. And they really want those films to be, to play in those foreign nations. And there is other factors at play, especially if we're talking film into regarding to foreign nations. With Japan and China, they are very selective to the content that comes into their nation because of just how their government operates. There's some content that they will not approve, and then others that they will approve. That's why it's such a big deal when you see films get approved to go to China or Japan, because they're gaining access to one of the largest markets in the world. And there's great potential for that film to make more money given how domestically things are going. So, and we see domestically speaking, it's a bit of a struggle. A lot of people here are just deciding to stay home. And because of that, there's more of a need for just generally people to come to the theater, but two, seeking out other markets to hopefully suffice, to hopefully create some sort of cash flow. And the international market is definitely one of those places. And like I said, vice versa. So now with these tariffs in place, there is now potential for distribution to get very, very difficult for America, for anybody who wants to distribute their film to an international market, and vice versa. It may be that that sort of distribution becomes rarer, at least for this time being, because of just how costly things are. And given the state of film right now, it's difficult to put up a certain amount of money. And in the case of what distribution may be, it's likely to get pretty expensive. So it's a very, very questionable time right now, and it's still very uncertain as well, because not everything is completely set in stone. Obviously, the tariffs are as they are right now, but as I said, there is potential for negotiations. There's potential for things to get lowered or maybe even dropped completely. Who knows? It's all based, of course, on a politician's perspective and based on how they see things, and ultimately then maybe we can see things potentially go down. We'll see. But as for the time being right now, it is a very, I would say, uncomfortable time, especially for a lot of business owners, because it is going to be difficult to gain access to material, for film especially, to gain access to certain markets because of just how costly distribution is probably going to get for them. So it's a very, very questionable time. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. In my heart, I feel like this is just a temporary thing. I've heard before in regards to Trump that of his view on this, that this is a correction period. So hopefully it's true. Hopefully we don't fall into some sort of some costly time. We'll see. But as it stands, it's potentially going to get rather ugly. So we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. But as it stands, distribution is the main source of main problem, for when relation to the tariffs, if we're discussing film proper. And for a lot of films, they rely upon that international sale. They rely upon people in China and Japan to make their films profitable because of just the lackluster performances that we have here domestically. I mean, like, if you just see how things are right now, domestically speaking, if films that operate and were made in North America were only released here in North America, it's kind of hard to justify the types of costs that are out there nowadays. Obviously, for the film industry as a whole, they need to lower their costs on just everything. And that might not be completely possible because of just what materials they may or may not rely upon from foreign nations. We don't know. I doubt it'll be a huge issue in terms of production. And again, in the article that I read appears to echo that same sentiment. It doesn't appear that production itself is going to be greatly affected. What it appears to be, and they didn't really address it, but it's just more or less how I read into it, is that it's a lot to do with just consumer spending, which is in regards to potentially, the amount of money that people may have at their disposal to go do things like going to the theater, or potentially with the theater chains, depending on where they are operating, where their companies are based at, and largely to do with distribution, largely to do with how these films are going to get overseas and vice versa, and if that's even possible at this time. So we will see. We will see. I am not going to signal any like red flags or dangers or anything like that. I'm just going to wait and see. We'll see how everything unfolds. I completely acknowledge right now that it's a very uncertain type of time, but hopefully, things get better. Always, maintain a positive outlook. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. But as it stands, there are definitely implications and great impacts to the film industry in regards to how films can be seen and the accessibility of them all. But you guys let me know your thoughts on this discussion. It's a very interesting topic, very, hot topic type. So obviously, let's try to be respectful in the comments. I know it's very, very easy to get into a political discussion. It's your right. I mean, you can talk however you want, but let's just try to be respectful here, guys. And all in the vein of film. So just, try to relate it to film. Don't just go on a big, you do what you want, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a film channel, not a political channel. So, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to how this is going to impact film, and just generally, if you want, your thoughts on the tariffs and how you think things are going to unfold in the next few months. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.